everyone, I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. Hope you are tuned to our sessions. Until and unless you practice, until and unless you keep remembering, until and unless you keep speaking them out, you cannot master the English language. English language is such. The nature itself is something that we need to realize. It comes only by practice, or the more you practice, the less you reduce our mistakes, right? In these sessions, what are some important aspects that you should be focusing on? You should be thinking about some grammatical errors, mostly on prepositions, especially the mistakes that take place in the use of prepositions. So that is something that you have to be very careful about. And the other thing that we have been doing continuously and recurrently is that jumbled order. So far we've practiced more than 28 questions. So in the rest of the sessions, including this session, we are going to practice more. Remember, practice makes one perfect. If you want to be a person with good writing skills, with good speaking skills, the only formula that you have in your hand or you have to think about is practice, practice, practice until you attain perfection. So let us discuss and dwell on some more questions before we think about the answers to those questions. So now, shall we take a look at the question? Question number 29. Once again, don't think this is very redundant. Don't think this is very repetitive, that you are sick of saying these questions or this particular type of question again and again. Time and again, I say that the more you practice, the less you avoid your problems or your mistakes. So once again, this question is about filling or rearranging the sentences which are scattered, which are jumbled, which are not in proper shape. So now, what is the question about? By now, you must be thinking about the tips and strategies, right? Now, what are some common patterns we've noticed in jumbled paragraphs? So the topic that we are dealing is like jumbled paragraphs. And now, what are some strategies or tips we should be thinking, right? So we should be following some tips. What are they? Number one, you have to look at the theme. In fact, I would say that themes. Why themes? The word themes, the word I use is with regard to finding out, or it's like, you see and you discover a new theme in every paragraph. So that paragraph is a short paragraph. It is not long. It is not a long paragraph. It is not very long in terms of its width and length. It is about the prolonged thought that is being carried or that is seen in every paragraph, subsections. Like you talk about you talk about some kind of a new concept, where you will talk about sub-themes. Okay, so sub-themes, sub-points. Like you say that this is very essential, and now how do you really support your argument? So you need to support, which means what I say is backup. You need to back up your argument with some aspects, so with some evidential clues, and you need to support your argument with that. And now, what is that you are dealing here? You're trying to find out these supportive clues. So you are not coming up with supportive answers. you're not coming with some evidences, or you're not coming up with evidential answers, but what you are trying to do is you are trying to find out. Now I would like to draw your attention to this word find. So the purpose here, which a student who is taking up this jumbled paragraph, is the responsibility is to find out the error. You're not trying to provide the supportive answers, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to find out the supportive word, the supportive evidences, or is the supportive points. So you have to be very clear with these thoughts, until and unless you are very clear, until and unless you are very you're very sure, confident. I would use these words: clear, confident. You cannot really understand the order. My dear students, make sure you have these two C's. You should be clear, you should be confident. And then what you can do is you can provide the structure to the paragraph that is given in the question. Right? Now, what's the question here? Probably dating back to the Neolithic and even the Paleolithic age, the mythology of Greek goddesses is considered to be the oldest mythologies of the world, even a precursor to Indo-European mythologies. Now, what is this all about? It is some kind of like history. It is about dated some kind of years ago, and you are trying to understand. Now, you must be thinking, oh, you're boring with history. No, what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be sit with every detail of this paragraph that is asked, but what you have to do is you just put them in one order and leave it. Probably dating back to the early Neolithic and even the Paleolithic age, probably. Now, you have to understand that usually the first paragraph, that is opening paragraph, will start with some kind of theme. Now, what is the concept here? Here it is talking about some ages, okay, where a particular goddesses is considered to be the oldest. The story, that is the another word for this story is a mythology, which has this myth. Mythology has, it is like you have a myth that is a told story which is mostly created, which may not be true. So this, the mythologies or mythology talked or spoken during that age. Now, what is the last point, as usual, that they gave is she was a symbol of regenerative power of nature, such as fertility, birth, rebirth, and death. Now, she was a symbol of something. Now, you don't have to worry about the character. You don't have to worry about her distinctive features of the distinctive features of this goddesses. But what you have to worry about is just to see that there are any connections you can really make to this key first paragraph. Now, the options given: PQR, the biblical snake, is one of the main remaining symbols that demonize the old female snake death. The demonize old female snake death. Now, what is this about? The biblical snake is one of the many remaining symbols. Now, the options, one of the options given over here is the biblical snake, which symbolizes or these snakes, or this particular theme, or this particular character demonize, stands for evil. This older female snake death, is it about that, or it is largely been censored by the scientific community? Yeah, there is extensive reliable research on the subject. It is largely been censored, that is monitored by the scientific community. And yet there is extensive reliable research on the subject. This short paragraph started with it. Now the pronouns it, okay, or he, something called she, they won't be won't be brought or won't be discussed as the immediate sequence of the opening paragraph or line, so you don't have to worry about it. But then it comes somewhere in the middle of it. Why? Because the pronoun it is about, that means before, prior to that, something else is mentioned, and you can bring this as some kind of sequence. Now look at this option R. A 20th century archaeologist, Manager Gimbutas, developed a theory on an evolved and pastoral old European civilization that worshipped goddesses in the form of a bird, feline or snake. Now, a 20th century archaeologist, somebody named Marija Gimbutas, he or she, you don't have to worry about the gender of this particular archaeologist, and this is not very particular detail. And this particular archaeologist, developed, brought up a theory that talks about this particular mythology or myth that worship somebody, this civilization, particular culture or the people of that era worshipped the goddesses in the form, in what form? In some form, in the form of a bird, in the form of some kind of kind of animal or some kind of it could be anything, whatever form that they worshipped. So the sequence of this is like, if you can really see, probably dating back to it. Now we talked about this, there is some mythology, and now what is that mythology is this. Now so and so archaeologist developed some kind of he discussed some kind of old European civilization where this goddesses. Now why is it so much connected to this S1? Because we discussed here, if you can really remember, the mythology of Greek goddesses. Now you see the immediate logical connection. Now my dear students, you have to be very much connected or tuned to some aspects, coherence and cohesion. Now what are this? Coherence, you need to find the logical connection, the logical sequence or connection. You have to make sure that it is very sequential. It is sequential or not, it is in order. So the logical connection should be made. What is this logical connection? When I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now 1 should precede 2, not 3. 3 cannot precede 2. And the moment you realize 3, 5, 6, now you develop or you raise some doubt. Now there is logical connection missing here, right? So that is called coherence, and you see that sort of order. Now logical connection not only in terms of order, in terms of thought, right? Now this kind of jumbled paragraph is like scientific more than art. It's not an art of developing something, but it is the way of looking at. Why is it scientific? This science should be progressive. The science should be progressive. It should be logical. It should be structural. You have to realize the pattern of something. When you don't find any pattern, you can realize that this is something which is not logical. Now my dear students, these details I'm discussing, they are very these details just I mentioned are very important, because unless you are aware of this, you cannot try to find out the order. So as a result, now what you can take this R as the continuation of the first point, and then you can take up the other option followed by, like you can take probably dating back as the first option as usual, which is given in the question, and you can take R as the following one, and then it is largely censored. What is it? You've already mentioned, right? It refers to the thought, something which has already been mentioned in the previous paragraph. Now, what is it? The thought is connected. The thought is given here in R. They worshipped goddesses, and that particular civilization worshipped this particular in the form of something goddesses. So now, what is it? It is largely censored. This kind of mythology or this kind of thought or aspect is largely censored, checked, monitored, evaluated by the scientific community. There is evidence, reliable research results on that. Now you can take R and Q as your answers, right? So the option A is right. So this is how you know. What now you may ask me, this question, ma'am, why did you eliminate option B? In option B here, it is talking about some kind of biblical snake, which is not very much connected, though it is another, historical, or it is something that is, that gives you detail, something related to some kind of happening that happened in the past. But still, this is not very much connected to the concept, to the mythology that we are discussing in the paragraph, right? So that is why you have to take away that particular option. Next question, 30. Using data analytics, again jumbled one, has helped companies identify trends and purchase patterns at various levels and helped customize various styles. Now, what is this about? Using data analytics has helped companies identify trends and purchase patterns. What is this? Using about the theme is about data analytics, using them. Okay, has helped. Now, what is the use of it and how you can really understand the benefits or the advantages of using this data analytics, right? And it helped companies identify trends and purchase patterns at various levels and helped customize various styles, right? Now, what is the last one? You have to read the opening line or the opening paragraph at the same time last or concluding paragraph of any passages or paragraph, because they will provide you the connection in between. They will provide you the connection, right? It is correct to say that many business owners will have a lot on their minds post-lockdown until the pandemic dies down. Now, please don't think that because this is last, we can think later. Yes, of course, you can think a little later, but do not procrastinate or do not push aside or do not disregard or ignore this particular thing. When you find the sequential order, that is S2, don't think that this is very insignificant. Now, the options given: data analytics utilizes powerful algorithms to analyze current and past customer data to come up with solutions. Data analytics utilizes this particular, which we mentioned here in the previous S1 paragraph. This utilizes powerful algorithms to analyze current and past customer data to come up with solutions. Next one, they have adapted to digitalization and have customized their products in line with current trends. Now, you have to find the connection by looking at some keywords. If you look at this S1, data analytics has helped some companies, we read out, and purchase patterns of various levels and help to customize. See this particular word, customize will give you the very important clue, because now the following paragraphs, now find out the paragraph with this similar word. So what is that? Data analytic utilizes powerful algorithms to analyze current and past customer data, or they have adapted to digitalization and have customized their products in line with. They have adapted. What is now this particular pronoun? I told you, we've discussed these pronouns will relate to the previous, related to this previous, okay, or already mentioned thought or already mentioned paragraph. Now, what is this pronoun? It is related to what? Purchasing patterns at various levels and customers. Now we can also see this a repetitive word is will give you the clue. What is now? How is it? How does that appear in here? Like, where is it? Now you can see this. They have adapted to digitalization and customize. Now see, they will custom. Now the word customization or customize is found in S1, and now immediately the that is taken forward. Products in line with the currents, and you can take this option as well. And now data analytics utilizes powerful algorithms to analyze current and past customer data to come up with and low cost of implementing data analytics. This is an added advantage. This is additional, or it comes a little later, though it is part of the paragraph. You can keep aside for some time, because you can always see the sequence, or you have the options already, which will fall in line with the main question paragraph, that is S1 after S1. So what you can do is you can go with the option A, QP. That is what they have adapted to it, and then data analytics. So this is how you need to do it. Next question. So again, jumbled order. We are trying to focus exclusively on jumbled order, because many students are not very, they are not very well versed with this jumbled order and some grammar. This grammar topics have exclusively on subject and verb agreement and the use of prepositions. That is why these sessions are exclusively on these prepositions, and because previous question papers have the same concepts as such. That's why. Now look at another paragraph. Women started working in the time of war during the period. Now again, one more historical incident or an experience that was recorded, and now that is brought before us. And something started, women started working. So the concept of working women, it started during the period of 1940 to 1918 and 1939 to 1948. Now, when the need of hour was manpower at the factories and other industries. Now there was a need of this manpower, and they were looking for someone to work, and this is that time these women started working during this particular age that is given in the paragraph. While they the hour was manpower of the factories and other industries. Now the starting of this idea is empty. You have to bridge it. While their husbands and brothers were away at war, women fulfilled their new roles. Right now, while their husbands is the continuation of the empty blank. Now you have to look at while their husbands and brothers were at war, women fulfilled their new roles. Now what is it? Now you have to look at it. Now take a look at it, the rest of the paragraph. Many other women were inspired by those women who were able to perform both the roles adeptly. What is this word, adeptly? You should also focus on vocabulary in between the paragraphs, because vocabulary is one of the crucial aspects of your verbal ability exam, because they'll be asking you in the form of synonyms and antonyms. Now what is this adeptly? When I say she's adeptly, here is not related to adaptation, but it is related to skill. It is like, she has that person, she has performed the task very skillfully. She's skillful in that area. So ADEPT is to do with your skill, how skillful you are at this logical arrangement, logical equations, or how skillful you are adept at mathematics, you're adept at the in this you're adept at performing these tasks. So that is to do with your skill, right? Such great increase in the percentile of working women was seen after the Industrial Revolution, when the industrial society was doing extremely well. Now the options: back at home, they were still performing their own roles, which were looking, or these people who were looking after the kids, running the house. And now option 2, women came out of their houses and picked up shovels. 3, industrial revolution empowered women and gave them more freedom of thought. They gave them more freedom of thought. So now we have to look at the question for just 1 minute. While their husbands, that means what is the connection here? While their husbands means who are they? Women came out of their houses and picked up shovels. Okay, while their husbands, while their husbands and brothers were away at war. Because while, in the sense, like, that is, you are doing something while my friend has come. But that's the continuation of it. In that context, I say, when women came out of their houses to work, when they picked up shovels, while their husbands were away. So this is the continuation, and picked up. Next, back at home, they were still performing their roles. Why is that? How do you know? Like, women fulfilled their new roles back at home. They were still performing their own roles, which were looking after kids. Now, why can't I use this industrial revolution empowered women? Because there is, here you're talking about the role of the women. You are not talking about the industrial revolution, how it impacted women and gave them more freedom. Because it is this particular empty blank, is looking for some gap, which still talks about the role of a woman, and how they came out of their houses, and how they had to manage both in houses and their working place. So that is the sense of it. So you can go with the option B and A as a right option. Now, another question: which one of the following sentences uses a formal language? Again, this is another aspect what we have been dealing with. So it's like, a formal language and informal language. Now, I've discussed formal language will have these formalities like academic. They will have academic expressions. They have the serious subject. They won't make use of informal words like abbreviations or like contracted forms. And they will not make use of this normal slang words, which are colloquial in words and in expressions, day-to-day languages. So usually these formal expressions will not, or they don't contain all these features that we've just mentioned. Now, what is it? The sentence that we have to think as the formal expression: I'm shocked at your rowdy behavior. I'm shocked at your rowdy behavior. Though this talks about the rude and harsh behavior of someone, but still it is not serious in the subject, but it is little harsh in its vocabulary. Now the second, so obviously this will not be the formal expression. Now, hey, let's grab a cup of joe. Now, what is this cup of joe means? It is another idiomatic expression which means it is a cup of coffee. When you say, oh, let me have my cup of joe, which means a cup of coffee, right? But hey, the expression. And now these formal expressions will not have jargons and idiomatic expressions generally. In exceptional cases, you can expect these idiomatic expressions, phrasal verbs, but usually, generally, Generally, I use the word generally. These idioms are not, or phrasal verbs are not mentioned. Jargons are not used in any formal setup, right? So, hey is again another informal word. This is again idiomatic explanation. Next, heck, I lost all my data. Now, what is the meaning of the word heck? Heck, which means, hell. Oh, hell, I lost all my data. This is another harsh and informal expression. Hell, what hell it is? I say, oh, what the hell? You are, where I'm really, and that I'm in. So this is all informal, usage of it. So obviously these won't be the options, formal options. Now look at the fourth one. I'm greatly devastated to learn about the demise of your mother. Greatly devastated. So another vocabulary, formal language about the demise, or death. Okay, where the person devastated, that means shattered or depressed, right? And you're down, you're depressed, you're sad, almost you're collapsed mentally. So that is the sense of it. Obviously, you can go with the option D because it will make use of some serious word. Even the tone matters. The tone should be serious. Next, now that's what these are the rules when you're communicating someone. Generally, you will when you. So, for example, you do not know very well, right? Usually you are not very serious, and now you use generally in personal emails. In some presentations you have to make use of formal, and in some professional academic situations you will make use of formal expression. Grammar will be different. Grammar, it's like informal, like can't. Contractions will be used in informal set of pronouns, modal verbs, could you, all that will be used. Some could you will be used in formal. Sometimes they are not used in informal setups. Pronouns are not used in informal setup. Vocabulary, difference of words, the strength of the word. Okay, contractions are not used in informal. Colloquial is not used in informal. Next question. Choose the option that combines the two sentences best without changing the meaning. Now you have to look at this combination. You have to combine the aspects here. Two sentences are there, two parts are there. You have to make into one complete and combine. Now, how do you do this? How do you come up with a complete sentence? By combining. How do you combine? By bridging the gap. Now, what is the problem? Anirudh has been playing the tabla throughout the day. This explains the pain in his fingers. Anirudh has been playing the tabla throughout the day. This explains the pain in his fingers. The options given. The pain in his fingers explains that he has been playing the tabla throughout the day. The pain in his fingers explains that he has been. Now, usually the pain will not explain that he's been playing the tabla throughout. So the thought itself is not right. Next, Anirudh was playing the tabla all day long. So he can get. Are you talking about the possibility here? Are you talking about the possibility here? No. Are you talking about the expectation of something? If this happens, this will happen. If you do something, this will happen. No, you are not talking about the possibility. So you cannot take these sentences as the right one. Now, Anirudh has been playing the tabla all day long, which explains the pain in his fingers. When he's been playing the tabla all day long, Anirudh has been playing, which explains this sort of experience, this type of action will explain the pain in his fingers. Now hold on, we'll go to the fourth one and then we'll decide on the options. There is possibility. Anirudh has been playing the tabla throughout the day, so he can't explain the fingers. We are not talking about the fact. Anyway, here the fact is fact is also not this is not actually the fact to be expected, because the question itself says that the pain in finger is very much there, so you cannot negate, you cannot talk something opposite of the realistic or the realistic experience. So I can go with the option, the which here is the keyword which talks about the relativity. It talks about, it relates to the previous point. Here, what is the previous idea? He has been playing tabla, which explains means playing tabla all day long. That is a relation here. So which shows the relationship, it connects, it is a connector, it is a kind of that shows the see, something happened here. It alerts like this is a thought and we are talking about this thought. So this is a function of this particular word which, right? You can go with the option C. So that's what it refers to the previous clause, which will give further information. Now again, jumbled paragraph. Let us start. Transformation is usually painful because it involves a process, a means to find an end. So it's talking about the transformation, which is very painful because it involves something, it involves process. Now, means to find an end. In pain is our true enlightenment, as our crucial lessons are learned here. In pain is a true enlightenment. Mostly we learn lessons in our suffering. So that is a thought here. Okay. And for humans, evolution is painfully slow as we take the longest. This sort of development is painful because it takes time. So this is all about this paragraph. Now the options. Attainment, on the other hand, is happiness because you gain what you have. Now, do you start or do you find this as a sequence of the question? Because here this has the kind of contradictory, or it is a kind of root diversion phrase. On the other hand, first of all, you have to say this is something, this is one way. On the other hand, now but the previous sentence doesn't talk about one particular stance, and now it is not contrasting. Usually, on the other hand, is a contrasting or contradictory turn, or contradictory sentence, or contradictory word, or contradictory expression. Here there is nothing contrastive, as you can see. So that is why option A can be eliminated. Now there is some stiff competition between B and C. Now will be the continuation of it? Let us understand. Without process, however, there is no achievement. So there is no gain without pain. Now without process. Now another one also, even the same word in the previous paragraph, we thought the same word is repeated and we got the clue. But here the same word is repeated, it is true, but it is repeated in two paragraphs. Now it is further confusing. Now how do you decide on that? Without process, however, there is no achievement, so there is no gain without pain. How long the process continues will depend on how fast we learn our lessons. Now, how long the process continues will depend on, or without process, however, there is no achievement. Now, understand, transformation, it involves a process, a means to find an end. Now, without process, however, there is no achievement. So, there is no gain. How long the process continues will depend on how fast we learn lesson. There is a chance that B and C can be the options. Obviously, you can go with the option D because without process. Now here in the earlier it mentioned it involves a process. Now you can see the sequence. Without this process, there is a process. Now without this process, however, now how long the process is again further. It is a further idea. That is why this C will come only after B. You cannot take C as the sequence, immediate sequence to option A. Right? Now, the last question for this session. Now you can go through this and understand. Now sometimes in your exams you can expect lengthy paragraphs which will but don't think these are, because these are lengthy, it will take a lot of your time and these are complicated. But these such paragraphs sometimes will be very easy for you to the theme will be very easy. Now see, here it talks about mental health, like psychological condition, your mental ability, your mental, your, it is about the psyche, which means mind. That is why psychology related to this mind. Now you have to understand like this: mental health can affect daily living, relationships, and physical. Now you can take a look at this paragraph. It is talking about mental conditions. Now how you can really look after this mental health, and how you can really do well, and how you can really balance, and what are some problems, and what are the causes such as stress, depression, anxiety, which cause this mental health, which cause problems, which cause some kind of negative effect to this mind. So these are mentioned in the second, and the continuation of it, all the mental health is in everyday use. Many conditions the doctor recognize as psychological disorders have physical roots. Many health, although mental health is everyday use, it is there, many conditions that doctors recognize as psychological disorders have physical roots, have some reasons, they have roots in the past and some causes. Now the options, now what are and again the paragraph continues. It is not only about avoiding some mental some unnecessary problems, but it is also about looking after your wellness and happiness, right? And now you can also say how you can really preserve and restore mental condition. And there's also some kind of case study happened conducted. Now you can see in the United States, referring back to some incident here, National Alliance on Mental Illnesses estimate. Now what does it estimate here? 1 in 5 adults experience this particular problem. And again the information is still, according to National Institute, what happened, okay, 11.2 million adults, or about 4.5 of adults had this psychological disorder or some problems. Now you can do skimming, only focusing only on important points, right? And still it is important to note that mental health depends on some kind of like how you really balance, how you really face problems, and all this some, and what are some causes, like whether social and financial problems also cause these mental disruptions or mental problems. So all these are part of it, responsible for it. Now let us understand the questions and answer the question. What is understood by mental health disruptions? Disrupted, it is disrupted, disruption, that is little abnormal. Okay, abnormal. Okay, not in order, disorder. Okay, disturbed. All these meanings are plausible, to understand, or they will come under this word disruption. Right? No, what do you understand? Are they checking your, the knowledge, whether you are able to get this, informative type of ability, like where you are able to understand the information, or whether you are able to understand the sense of it. Here they are checking your vocabulary knowledge and the interpretation of the actual term given. So what do you understand? What is your interpretation? What is your understanding? How did you understand? Why did you understand? What is that you understood? That is the question. That is the test for you behind this question. Like the options given: abnormal functioning of the mind, or extreme illness of the mind. Disruption means disorientation of the brain, completely diverse, lack of coordination between brain and the other parts, because it is related to your body and your health. So does that mean that it is about parts of body and brain? related but not very closely. Abnormal functioning of the mind, yes, that is something related. Extreme illness of the mind and body, of course, your body, if your mind is affected, if your body is not good, but that is true. But here the paragraph or these paragraphs or this particular paragraph talks about this abnormal functioning of the mind. So you can go with the option A. Now the other question, which is not true according to the passage. He is taking the false. That means whether you are able to retrieve the statements which are there, which exist, which doesn't, which don't exist. So that is what, whether this particular thing exists or not, it doesn't exist or not. So that is what they are checking. Some financial and social circumstances, biological factors, will they shape a person's mental health or not? Is it false or not? Yes, here in this paragraph you can see social and financial circumstances, biological factors. Here, see, now you can see this. They can shape a person's mental health, right? So you have to go back to the paragraphs. Generally, they will ask in the starting, the start of this paragraph. Now, extreme illness of the body. Now, whether it talks about mental health involves reaching a balance between life activities or responsible. Now, which is really true or not? Whether it is, which is not true. Not true. Here, these kind social and financial in the previous paragraph, we went back, they talk about shaping somebody's mental health. But here the statement says this cannot shape what they social and financial circumstance cannot shape. So which is not true, which is false, which means false. So mental health involves reaching a balance between life activities, everything. Yes, this is possible. Preserving and restoring mental health is crucial. This is also true. Mental health is about not only avoiding active conditions but also looking after. Now you can see this one, right? How you can really understand it is. You can see, you can see here in this question, it is not only about avoiding active mental health conditions, but also it is about how you really balance it, right? Now see, you can understand a condition such as these will cause depressions, and it is in every day you have to realize they have roots. And again, these will see, now understand, mental health is about not only avoiding active health conditions but also looking after ongoing. So this is true, so which means you can go with the option A, which is not false, right? Now another question, what is the tone of the passage? Is it prescribing tone? Means what is it? Mood. You have to understand the mood of the passage and tone of the passage. These tones are different. The tones will be satirical, these will be ironical, okay, as usual, and even the tone will be very sarcastic. Okay, sarcasm will be there, and tone will be serious. The tone will be reflective. That means you can find many reflections. It will reflect something. The tone will be very serious at the same time. So now, what kind of tone? Whether it is prescribing. Prescribing means it will talk about some procedure. It will prescribe something, some procedure or some process. So now the paragraph which you talked, the passage which you talked about, does that prescribe anything? Of course, it will talk about the facts there. Okay, it will talk, if this happens, this will happen. This is a reason for you to compare and understand, right? So it is not prescribing. Can you go with the option incendiary? Incendiary means it is like something that stimulates, that will cause someone, some raises fire. So it is like it will cause some kind of, it will stir up somebody's emotion. So that is the sense of it. So here this paragraph or this passage is not about motivating or raising up something. So you have to be careful. Next, laudatory. Laudatory means like you have to, it is something appreciative or praising, something like that. So it is not about praising, it is not about appreciating. Now the option D is analytical. Yes, it is true. It will analyze the reasons, causes, factors and solutions. So you can go with the option D, right? So these are a few questions that we've discussed. Now remember, You have to follow all these rules. Synonyms are very important, which means your vocabulary is very important. Your coherence, the coherence of any paragraph, the coherence in any paragraph is very important. You have to understand the logical connection and also pay attention to contrastive words, contrastive, like you have seen, like on the other hand, as well as, all these are very these are very significant clues you can really think about it. So my dear students, keep practicing. In another session we will take a few more questions until you gain confidence and confidence on these particular questions, or on these questions. We keep doing these questions for your benefit. Until then, thanks for watching. Keep practicing. Stay tuned.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.